Hey, JD here. Welcome to the Mead House. You know, over the past several years, we've brought you over 125 episodes of mead making, education, information, and entertainment. More than 80 guests have stopped by the Mead House. Professional mead makers, medal-winning home mead makers, competition organizers, experts on yeast and honey specialists have all visited to share their knowledge. The Mead House is produced for home mead makers and brewers looking for a bit of inspiration and information from the many guests and discussions we have here at the house. You can help support the Mead House by joining the Mead House Keyholder Club on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com and search for the Mead House. There's also a link in the show notes. For as little as $2 a month, you can become a key holder. We've teamed up with some great companies to provide thank you gifts for your support. So get on over to Patreon, join the Mead House Keyholder Club, and get your own set of keys to the Mead House. Hey, you can listen to the Mead House podcast with your favorite player and be sure to rate us 5 stars on iTunes or your favorite listening venue. The Mead House. Mead making entertainment you just don't want to miss. Hey, we're here. Jeff and Ryan are both seated at the bar. My name is JD Webb. Hey, welcome to the Mead House, and thanks for listening to episode number 149. You know where to find us: iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and a whole lot more. They're all listed on the front page of the website, themeadhouse.com. Hey, in this episode, when we last talked to him, his first 60 meads, he did without a recipe. And he likes making semi-sweet session meads, and he's a medal-winning mead maker of the first degree. We'll be talking with returning guest Adam Bystrom shortly. And in segment 2, an update on the Iron Bee 2020. Jeff and Ryan will have the 411 on that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about malt, liquid malt versus dry malt. In making a braggot, and then we're going to do a little bit of exploration into the charcoal arena. And I don't mean the barbecue stuff. We'll get into that here a little bit later on. And then, of course, Facebook friends. This is where we try to answer questions with no formal expertise other than what we have experienced in our own brew room. All that and more here at the Mead House. But first, hey, thanks to all of the Mead House key holders who help keep the Mead House podcast free. You too can become a Mead House key holder and help support the show for as little as $2 a month. And you need to get in now if you want to get in to the Iron Bee. We've got some great thank you gifts to send to you. So get on over to patreon.com or search for the Mead House or just click on the show notes here on episode 149. Hey, what are we drinking tonight, guys? I usually start these things off, and of course in Mead House tradition, I'm two-fisting it tonight. The first one I want to talk about is a bourbon that I'm drinking. Now, you know me, I'm a bourbon lover. And so when I mention a bourbon here on the Mead House, this is one you need to put on your own shelf. Tonight is Wild Turkey's Long Branch. Now, this is a project put together with by Eddie Russell and Michael McConaughey, actor Michael McConaughey. This stuff is really good. They worked long and hard on this. Of course, Eddie Russell is Jimmy Russell's son. Both of them are master distillers. Jimmy Russell, probably one of the longest tenured master distillers. Long Branch. The unique thing about this one is, now this is where the charcoal is going to come in a little bit later on. This is refined using oak charcoal and mesquite charcoal. I guess that adds that little bit of Texas from Michael McConaughey to it. But it's a kind of a, I'm going to say a light-colored bourbon, a very nice golden color. It's sweet up front with that nice vanilla. And then I'm not going to go real deep into this, but about mid-palate or so, that's where that Texas mesquite comes into play a little bit. You can taste the oak in it. It finishes nice and dry. This stuff is a nice little sipper of the evening. In my other hand, this is something new. My wife picked this up. This is a pineapple craft cider made by Ace. Now, I didn't look these guys up. It's a California cider company, apparently. I don't know enough about this, but I do know it's made with apple juice and pineapple juice. Now, my guess is, without really going into the detail, because like I said, I didn't even look up the website or anything. I'm guessing that they probably made a cider and maybe back sweetened with pineapple juice because it has that pineapple sweet to it.
Yep.
It's really good. I mean, this stuff this is addicting. Okay.
I have had that one, and I've had a couple different flavors. I'm willing to bet. I agree with you there. They pretty much make a big batch and then split it and make flavors by adding juices from different sources. So, yeah, I think you're right on the money there, JD.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the best pineapple fermented adult beverages that I've had. And I've had, beers that, I've had pineapple in them and that kind of thing. This is really good. I mean, this is really addicting. I mean, I can down a bottle of this in about 10 minutes. I mean, it's really good stuff. So this is made by put out by Ace California, from what I can see. And it's 5% alcohol by volume. It's a California cider company out of Sonoma County. That's up north of me by several hundred miles. So good stuff. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. Jeff, what did you put in your glass?
Well, you guys have put up with a lot of, I'm drinking something low carb. I'm drinking something low carb. Today I'm having a cheat day. I could not resist cracking into this bottle of the hop blueberry from Sap House. So that's in glass number 1.
Yes.
And man, is that good.
Isn't it?
It is entirely different than the hop blueberry session mead that I made a year ago, but still awesome. It has that stronger alcohol, stronger fruit character. It's more like a wine style mead than a session style mead, but the bitterness of the hops comes into play. It's not strong in a like dry hopped kind of fashion. It just kind of, the bitterness balances out the sweetness, makes it real nice, real light. You get a little maple on that finish. It's really good.
Yes, it is. I love it. My wife loves it too. In fact, she finished off the bottle the other day.
No blame, Raymond. No blame. This is good stuff. In my other glass, I have a nice tall pint glass of my Belgian Strong Braggot. I'm getting to the point where this keg either needs to be bottled off with my beer gun or finished off. So I might just try to finish it off tonight. We'll see.
There you go. Good stuff. And Ryan, still unpacking, I presume. Did you manage to find something good to drink for tonight?
Yeah, I've got a glass quickly dwindling of my my latest batch of what I've just called the Dark Braggot. This was a braggot made with melter honey and it was only a single source. It was just melter honey and then some very dark grains and just it's a little bit rough in a good way. And what I mean by that is it's not too smooth. Sometimes you can have a drink that's too smooth, and you want it to have just a little bit of that raw finish, like unsanded cedar or something like that, just to let you know it's a little bit rugged without having those every corner finely polished. And that's what I'm getting out of this. It's good. It's black as motor oil, about as thick as motor oil too, and just absolutely delicious. Last night, I mentioned that I typically don't drink our guests' meads on the show, and just for a couple of reasons. I talked about that in a previous episode, but I did drink two of our guests' meads last night, and one of them was his sizer, and we'll talk about these when he's with us. But his sizer was absolutely fantastic, just out of the park, unbelievable. And then he put together a concoction. I think it was peach and muscat and something else, and I was with a buddy, and he put his nose in it and just it's fresh peach juice, just fresh peaches just jumping out of the glass at me.
Wow.
It was fantastic. It was a little bit sweet for me, like a 4-ounce pour would have been perfect. But I mean, that's just preference. That's not principle. That's just preference. It was an extremely well put together mead, and really enjoyed it. So I might be cracking one of those, or I should not that particular one, but another one of his a little later.
Excellent.
So joining us back tonight is Adam Bystrom. Adam was on our show back on episode 129. If you haven't heard that episode, go listen to it. It's kind of the Adam Bystrom origin story back on that episode. If you're a Marvel Comics fan, you might get that reference. He is a very fine mead maker, and in the first 3 competitions this year that make up the American Mead Makers Association Mead Maker of the Year circuit, his name has been called 18 times at the podium for the Minnesota Mashout, the Domrus Cup, and the Midwinter brewing competition. At the Mashout, his name was called 10 times, 9 medals, and 1 honorable mention. I checked yesterday. I did not see an update on the Mead Maker of the Year standings, but I imagine he's got to be up near the top somewhere. Welcome back, Adam, and what is in your cup tonight, my friend?
Hey, what's up, guys? Really excited to join you. Thanks for the awesome intro and the comic book origin story. I'm definitely a big comic book nerd, so that was pretty awesome. Yeah, so I'm breaking Mead House tradition. I gotta apologize, not double fisting. I got home and I totally was planning on it, and I saw the dark braggot yesterday when I got it from Ryan, and right when I got home, I was like, I gotta open this, because last time we did a mead swap, there was a dark braggot in there, and that was a huge standout for me. I loved it. So that's already drunk and gone. So I've only got so I drank that, loved it. A lot of like the roasty malt was there, loved it. Some like dried fruit, raisin. Really cool that it was Melter's honey. I can see that now. I was going to ask you. It was a really unique kind of honey aspect, and like you said, it was thick, and yeah, it was perfect, man. So now I'm drinking his cherry and Malab. I haven't had a cherry mead in a while, and it just sounded good. I've never had Malab in any meads, but I've heard quite a bit about them, so I was really excited to try this. And man, this is awesome. It's like tart. I love dry, so this is nice and dry. And I split it with my wife, and we're sitting there, we're like, what is that aftertaste? It's like, I'm getting vanilla and stuff, and we're both just like, it's pie crust. It's like, this is like a cherry pie, and then the pie crust lingers, and that's got to be the Malab, I'm guessing. Am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. That's the Malab. And then for a little while, I did age it on a little bit of cherry wood oak spiral, but I only did about 1/4 of the dosage. So, for example, it was like a 4-gallon batch that I did, but I only used 1 gallon's worth of the oak because I didn't want the oak to become another big flavor component. I wanted it just there, just to add a little bit of structure, just to round it off a little bit, just to soften it up. But I didn't want you to be thinking, oh, this is a barrel-aged oak mead or something, or a barrel-aged cherry mead or something like that. So I deliberately under-oaked it, but yes, what you're getting is the Malab. The Malab is that essence that you're talking about, that pie crust, that spice that's giving it more depth than just, hey, this is another cherry mead.
You got me confused. Did you use oak or did you use cherry wood?
So it was an oak. Oh, I'm saying oak spiral. I'm using air quotes here when I say oak. It was a spiral, but the spiral was made out of cherry wood.
Cherry
I'm
wood.
I'm using the word oak as the verb.
Yeah.
I'm oaking.
Yeah.
I'm cherry wooding.
Wooding.
Yeah.
Can I ask where you got the cherry wood spiral? Was that a Black Swan Cooperage, or was that where'd you get that from?
You're going to put me on the spot now. And neither of them are sponsors right now, so it probably not that big of a deal. It was either Black Swan or Barrel Mill. Okay. And I feel horrible for not remembering at the top of my head, but it was one of those two.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's dangerous. There's no alcohol. Like I didn't get any heat. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Is this like 15% or 5? I'm like, there's good body and but no alcohol.
Is this a 1 bottle drink or a 2 bottle drink?
I guess we'll find out. I'm halfway through.
Yeah, if you start slurring your words later in the interview, we'll know.
Yeah.
So, Adam, what have you been up to since the last time you were on the show?
Yeah, making a lot of mead, man. a lot of mead. Last year was kind of just a really big build out. I knew that I was going to be entering a lot of comps this year, and last year I entered a lot, but last year it was like every other week was a 5-gallon batch, and this year's kind of been no different. I slowed down a little bit. I told myself when New Year's hit that I wasn't going to start a mead until March. Well, I've started 2, so I think I'm doing better than normal. But just making a ton, man. Like trying to burn through the 2 brew list, and I can't catch up. It just keeps getting longer than me crossing it off. So yeah, lots of mead.
I got to tell you that that sizer that you gave me to drink was phenomenal. It was so that, as I'm describing it to these guys, first of all, I'll kind of just run through the way that it, like a score sheet's put together. Not only it was straw colored or a very light straw, but not only was it crystal clear, but it was sparkling. I mean, I was sitting with my good buddy, and we're drinking it, sharing it, and we're like, he had to filter this because it has just a polish to it. I mean, it was just visually appealing. You drink with your eyes first, and this, with the eyes said yum, and then you drink it, and it had the apple. It had, good, like a JD loves good, British style ciders.
Yeah.
And this had the good cider essence to it. We're not talking about, sugary apple juice, hard cider, but a good like crab apple or bitter sweet apple, mixture combination type thing. It was very, the apple was great. The honey was great. And then I really, really liked that carbonation you had on there. This was carbonated very well, probably higher than what you'd expect from a cider. But I like that. I like that you had just kind of amped up the carbonation a little bit that made this thing just absolutely pop. I think it pushed up the aroma out of the glass, and it gave it a little bit of life, on the palate. So I thought it was a phenomenal sizer, and I would love to hear you talk about that, and then maybe you can dovetail into the little sizer project you told me about that you were helping out with.
Yeah, sizers, man. They are so fun to drink, and I make a ton of them, but they are just a pain in the ass, to be honest. Because sizers are like one of those things, and it's a style, and that I honestly feel like is easily one of the hardest, because you're playing with something that is just as diverse as honey. So it's like it's just so many different puzzle pieces, and it's the one I struggle with the most, and so that's probably why I make the most of it. Just trying to really understand, like how to pair what honeys with what blends of apples, and make sure you've got the right apple blends. That one was a pretty simple apple blend the way things go. It was frostbite and chestnut crab, so you nailed the chestnut crab. You're definitely getting a little bit of acidity and tannin from that. And then, so where that one came from, recently, my homebrew club, Minnesota Homebrew Association, shout out. Those guys are awesome. We do tours of random breweries, cideries. We do, club meetings at these places. And recently one of them was at Number 12 Cider, downtown Minneapolis. And we did a tour. One of the owners took us on a tour, and I had a lot of fun, talked to him a lot about meads and stuff, and asked him if he ever thought about making mead. And just kind of just throwing it out there. And I've been wanting to volunteer or learn how to press cider for a while. I've reached out to a couple of different places, and they end up being just dead ends. So I got the guy's card, and the very next day I emailed him. I was like, hey, are you any way I can help you guys press or volunteer? And he was all on board and like super cool with it. And so I've been helping them press a lot. And every time I go there, I'll bring them, a few of my meads, and they try them. And it just one thing led to another, and we're like, why don't we make a sizer? So that's so the one you tried, I made them a couple different test batches. One was more semi-sweet, and the one you had, which was more dry off dry, and that's the one they liked. And I tried to choose a honey that was had a lot of expression, even with low sweetness. And I mean, Orange Blossom is just Orange Blossom. It's
can't go
so
wrong
good.
there. Yeah.
No, I mean, like it can do everything really. It's like dry to sweet, but yeah. So did Orange Blossom, and yeah, that's the one they liked. And a couple weeks ago, we pitched on 360 gallons. So
wow,
we're making a big batch of sizer, like 10 barrels. Yeah,
outstanding.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Are they going to call it the Adam Bystrom?
I'll push, man. I mean, just the Bystrom, I would take that. No, I think we're going to call it sizer. So, yeah.
No, it was phenomenal. So tell me about that. Do you filter your meads, or at least that sizer?
No. I bought a filter. I've never used it. It's like one of those things. I was like, all my meads are just like, they're like my children. They're so precious. I'm like, I don't want to experiment with a filter and the first time on this mead that, I shipped 14 pineapples from Hawaii to make, or something like that. So, no, I roll with bentonite, and then just do I do my own dosage of Kisasol and Shido-san. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some of them obviously you need more patience on, but yeah, and obviously pectin for pectic enzyme for sizers helps a ton.
Now, you've also done some, we're talking about some fairly straightforward meads here, sizer and things like that, but you've also done some more experimental things taking inspiration from Girl Scout cookies and, using cacao nibs or doing different kinds of combinations. Tell us a little bit more about some of the more experimental things you've done lately and how you get your inspiration.
Yeah, we won't go into my Fruity Pebble mead. That was
why not?
That was an experiment that I will recreate.
Oh my god!
And I will shame. Go on.
Yeah, honestly, it just I love fruit and spice. That's easily my favorite category and the category I enter the most of. And I think it is because I'll start off with wanting to make like a pineapple mead, and realize quickly that I think this would be more interesting with a spice or some oak or something different, like, and then try to take it a different direction. Like, just recently I bought some honey from Wayne Gibbons, and if anybody knows Wayne and his yellow clover, they know it's basically liquid cinnamon sticks. The stuff is amazing. And I got it, and I was like, all right, we're making a yellow clover trad. This is going to be amazing, and got it all done, and it's dry, and I liked where it's at. And then just recently, I flipped the switch, and now I'm gearing more towards turning it into a semi-sweet peach cobbler mead. You know, every time I sample it, and after like a month or two went by, I was like, this is where I feel like it's going. Like, so, but just kind of change things on the fly sometimes. Like, if, you know, things don't pan out, then, you know, just try something different and keep going.
Last time you were on, Adam, you had talked about one of your big failures, the spiced banana oak thing that you were working on. You recall that?
Oh yeah, banana boucher.
Yeah, have you been back to that at all?
No, I haven't, but It turns out that's not half bad. It's gotten pretty good score.
There you go.
No, I haven't. I do want to go back to bananas for sure. I think I really liked how I handled the fruit in that. I think I got a lot of really good banana flavor and aroma, but just trying to figure out like fruit and spice. Going back to fruit and spice, on my to brew list is banana and clove. I think that'd be a really nice combination. But yeah, I haven't gone back to the banana boucher yet.
How do you come up with the flavor profile bananas and cloves? I mean, you chew on a clove and then eat a banana and see what that presents itself as, or how do you come upon these ideas?
I think that one.
The Hefeweizen?
Yes, so that's where that one came from. Yeah, dude, I love my beer. Like that's like visiting microbreweries and like trying getting a flight of everything I love it. So like, yeah, and then I don't brew beer. I never have. I'm just a mead guy, and but I really want to work with bananas, and I wanted what spice would work well, and yeah, Hefeweizen, man, banana clove.
Okay, there you go. I dig it.
Nailed it.
So, Adam, here as we start to kind of wind down over here, you mentioned your brew list earlier. What are I don't know, a handful of things on your brew list that we should know about that sound really interesting or that are going to be your next challenges?
Sure. Well, the peach cobbler, that's been a lot of fun. That's turning into easily one of my most complex meads. I mean, it's like double oak, multiple different. It's just everything's going on with that thing. Just finished making a tej. It's carbonating right now with 5 different types of bridal honey. That was a lot of fun. Trying to create something out of something I've never tried. So basically got some Gesho Enchet and then kind of figured out what I thought would go well with it. So we'll see how that goes. I really like where that's heading. I'd like to try to make. So this is, I don't know how this is gonna work out, but anybody ever used what is it, cream de tartare? Like, because I really want to make. You know where I'm going with this? A snickerdoodle. I would really love to make one, and I'm wondering what that would do. Yeah, that just sounds like a lot of fun. The other Samoa.
Say that again, Adam. Say that again.
What's that?
The one you want to make. The last one.
The snickerdoodle with cream de tartare.
Snickerdoodle. Yeah. Isn't that a Girl Scout cookie?
Oh, I think it's just it's a common cookie with cinnamon.
Is it? I have no idea.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite types of cookies. I'm 100% on board the moment you said snickerdoodle.
Yeah, give it a shot. The thing is, the challenge is, so I love sessions. Like I don't see me kind of branching too far out of sessions in the near future, and I all my sessions I always carb. So how can I make a snickerdoodle that's a session and carb? Because when you hear about that, a snickerdoodle, I'll be the first one to admit standard strength, semi-sweet or sweet. that's where that should be, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the challenge, I guess. Try to fit that, you know, square peg into a round hole.
Right. Hey, isn't that what we do here? I mean, that's what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. I think you can do it. I like that you've built your parameters and you said it's going to be session strength. I'm going to, carb it a little bit. And now how can you get those different flavor components from the snickerdoodle, to pop? And, you nailed the Samoa, so what's going to stop you from nailing the snickerdoodle?
Yeah, thanks, man.
This guy
that was a lot of
nailed
fun.
a mead that tastes like a Girl Scout cookie, and we can talk. We get a little bit funny here. Back at, I don't even remember what competition it was. It might have been the state fair or something. I judged his mead. And I wrote down, basically it's got the chocolate and the graham cracker or whatever and the coconut, and I listed everything out, and I was like, it kind of reminds me of a cookie. Well, then I find out later on that it was inspired exactly by the Girl Scout cookie that has all those components to it.
Wow.
He nailed it. It was a fantastic mead.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's just trying to figure out how to get that caramel element, and also the kind of the graham cracker without adding the graham cracker. I almost did, but after I added the toasted coconut and cacao nibs, and I mean, I was going to add graham cracker and vanilla, but after I just added those two ingredients, I was like, this is it. Don't mess it up. It was telling me to stop. So,
you ever done anything?
That means won you a few medals, hasn't it?
I think, at least a third. That's one of those meads where I just force into competitions, and when it medals, I'm like, all right, done, because I forced it into enough, and it hasn't won. And then when it does, I'm like, all right, done. Almost every mead I've made, I feel like let's just say this: every mead I've made can be improved. So there's about like 3 or 4 that I'm just like super proud of. And those 3 or 4 get forced into every comp until some pair of judges are like, yes, this deserves a 3rd place or something. And then I'm like, all right, vindicated. Now I don't have to enter it anymore. But that was one of them I was really proud of.
Have you ever, I got to let out a secret here. Nope. I mean, not a lot of people know about this. My wife is probably the only one, not even my little sister. I'm a peanut butter nut. I love peanut butter, but I keep a jar of peanut butter on my desk with a spoon. Okay, you get where I'm going here?
Yeah.
I'm like a peanut butter holic. Okay, it's like a major snack for me. So that jar of peanut butter, I mean, it's a natural, organic, none of the skippy crap that tastes like imitation peanut butter. This is like the real deal. This is like real peanut butter, okay? Have you ever thought about doing anything with peanut butter? Now, I've had peanut butter stouts and all this stuff on the beer shelf at the craft beer aisle, and none of them. I mean, I haven't found one yet that tastes worth a damn. But have you considered doing anything with peanut butter at all?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've thought about it. It's just, it's not on my kind of like short to brew list, but honestly, guys, like if you want to talk to somebody that knows how to make a peanut butter mead, he's winning easily just as many awards as me, and he's better mead maker than me, probably. Josh Holbrook made this peanut butter chocolate bochet, and I tried it at Mash Out, and dude, it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's crazy good.
Oh, wow.
Like the guy, if he'll tell you how he makes it, he told me, and I was just like, you worked your ass off on this thing. Like you didn't cut any corners. It's solid. And that guy makes some killer stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love that. Some of the stouts that I've had is like peanut butter and coffee. Nah, that doesn't go well together. The only thing that goes well together is peanut butter and chocolate in my book. That's it. peanut butter and jelly maybe, but I don't know about a peanut butter fruit mead. That doesn't even sound good to me. But something with peanut butter would be
good. I think
good.
Matt Whitey made a PB and J mead. That was pretty good. I think he used I think he's going for like the classic peanut butter Concord jelly, type thing. And I think he said he used that dehydrated peanut butter, dehydrated, defatted peanut butter powder, and then some like Concord grape juice or something. And
oh wow!
I guess I don't think I ever got to try it, but maybe I did. But he got some pretty good acclaim for making a pretty good PB and J mead.
Wow, good stuff. I mean, go ahead.
Adam, I know you were at the party last year, but did you enter the Iron Bee?
No, I didn't. I just wanted to attend and just kind of hang out and not worry about like winning or nothing. But I will this year. I mean, if for nothing else, I want to see what weird combination you come up with for the MVP and what the secret spice is, because I that just sounds fun. Getting something that
cool. Well,
most likely never worked with.
We're going to talk about that next, but no, we look forward to having you in the competition this year. It's a lot of fun. So, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. It is always wonderful to talk to you. We're going to have you back again, and let's not wait so long to swap six packs again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys. This was tons of fun.
Adam, loved having you, man. And again, like Ryan says, don't be a stranger. Always looking forward to all of the unique and visionary meads that you come up with. And can't wait to see what you come up with next, man.
Sounds good. All right, talk to you guys soon.
All right. Adam Bystrom, guys. Wow. Yeah, you talk about a Class A mead maker. I mean, to right off the bat start mead making and do 60 mead, not from any kind of a recipe, just put something together in a carboy and add some yeast, and then wind up an award-winning mead maker. I mean, that's good stuff right there.
Absolutely. This guy, I tell you, he's like, I don't want to say what I was going to say because I didn't want it to be interpreted the wrong way, but he's like a savant. I mean, he just whatever he touches and ferments and put in the bottle is fantastic. Yeah. And for a guy to be doing that, mead making for 2 years and have a trophy room like Dale Earnhardt. Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable.
Next thing you know, it'll be an invitation to the White House.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. Well, hey, moving on. Segment 2 here, guys. We want to spend a little bit more time. It's the season again. We're talking Iron Bee season. So Iron Bee 2020, Jeff and Ryan both have the 411. What's happening, guys, at Iron Bee 2020?
Oh my gosh, we are so excited for this. The Iron Bee 2020 is back. If you are a member of the Keyholder Club, you got an email already, and we've had about, I think, almost 40. We just did it like a day ago. I mean, from the time we're recording, about a day ago, and as of now, there's almost, I think, 40 entries so far. So, great response, unbelievable. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about the Iron Bee, the way it runs, because it is very different than other competitions, and that's what makes it special. So this year, we have room for 100 participants. 100. We wish we could do more, but that's where we're going to have to stop it for this year. And each participant is going to get 2 entries. And now, because we're going to do 2 categories, so you get 1 entry per category, but you're automatically in both categories, the main event and the side challenge. Now, the main event this year, again, is a secret ingredient. Our great friends from Mountain Rose Herbs selected a wonderful ingredient that we are very thrilled with, and you guys will get to play and craft a mead with this secret ingredient. For the side challenge this year, we are really happy to announce we talk a lot about braggots on this show, and we like them, and we think they are an underappreciated category of mead. Well, our good friends, our very good friends from Yakima Chief Hops, YCH Hops, got a hold of us and said that they wanted to be a part of the Iron Bee. They wanted to be a part of the Iron Bee, and they want to be a part of it in a big way. And so we have decided that the side challenge this year is going to be the Braggot Shootout. It is going to be a braggot category with a slight twist. And the slight twist is that we are not going to judge your braggots based on the BJCP style guideline. Again, the side challenge is always judged hedonistically. That is, we judge it on drinking pleasure. Does this style, does this mead in front of us appropriately fit the style and give us drinking enjoyment? What that means is that you are not constrained by crafting a braggot that would score well in a BJCP category. Now, I want to make a side note really quick. The Iron Bee is registered with the BJCP. It is a BJCP, competition. And however, and your secret ingredient mead will be judged against the BJCP style guidelines. However, the BJCP also allows for special judging categories, and this is one of them. This is what we're going to do. So it's judged hedonistically. It's just whatever brings us the most drinking pleasure, which means that your Schnickerdoodle Stout or your peanut butter and chocolate porter that probably might not score all that great in a straight-laced braggot category competition, have just as good of a chance here than any other style that it is based on. So we're not saying you have to get crazy. Don't get crazy if you don't want to get crazy. We're just simply saying that if you want to use Melter honey and create a Schwarzbier style braggot, that will be on the same footing as a passion fruit porter or a Schnickerdoodle Stout or anything else you can come up with, because as long as it is drinking and enjoyable to drink, it's going to be on that footing. Again, this is also because we believe strongly at the Mead House that you should brew to drink. You should brew what you find enjoyable, and if other people are lucky, brew what they'll enjoy drinking. Okay, so now pulling it back a second here. When you enter, you are automatically in both categories. You're going to have, please create entries for both. If you don't, we'll create the entry for the other one for you, but you get to do two. Now, I said Yakima Chief wanted to be participants in a big way. They're one of their master hop men selected some hops that he thinks are fun to play with for meads. He thinks they're fun to play with. And so every single participant is going to not only get the secret ingredient, but is going to get a collection of hops in just, for registering. So when you register, we will send you the secret ingredient, and with the secret ingredient, we're going to send you a bunch of hops that YCH has selected. I mean, the value of the package that you are going to receive is going to be about $25, and that's before shipping. Just the ingredient cost is about $25.
Right.
Unbelievable. Very generous. Very generous.
Yeah.
You are not required to use the hops that are given to you. They are simply to inspire you. If you choose to use them, great. If you don't choose to use them, you're not bound to it. Jeff, you were going to say something.
I was actually just going to reiterate what you just said. You could use some of the hops in this package, but you are not required to. And man, if you used all of the hops in this package, that would be an IPA crazy braggot. We are sending you so many hops; it's unbelievable. Like you said, $25 easy.
I think everybody's going to get nearly a half pound, 7 ounces of hops, just for dinner.
7 ounces, yeah.
And
a half a pound of hops.
Yeah.
Awesome.
These hops have all been selected by the experts at Yakima Chief that they believe are going to make good meads. So again, and some of these guys are mead makers over there, by the way. They're not, just picking out of a hat here. And so, again, you can use them. You don't have to use them. It's up to you. The main event is the secret ingredient contest. The side challenge this year is the Braggot Shootout. You are automatically entered into both categories. Once you register, we have enough entries available for 100 participants. So, I mean, Jeff, I think it was this morning, he had almost 45 pounds of hops show up on his front door.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to be sending these out within about the next week. They're going to be ready to go. And it's going to be an absolute ton of fun. Now, I said I want to make one thing clear to people. I already got a question about this. You are automatically entered into both categories, the secret ingredient and the Braggot Challenge. We highly encourage you to do both. Now, what happens if you're using a glass carboy and your secret ingredient mead shatters, or you accidentally ding the Braggot carboy and the Braggot carboy shatters, and you can only have one that you've got to send? That's fine. It's okay. You're not disqualified if you only can send in one for some reason. We're not going to ask for a doctor's note. Don't worry. We don't need photographic evidence. But if something were to happen where you were only able to send in one of the two meads, that's fine. You can be, again, we know what happens, and it's okay. We encourage everybody, and we want everybody to send in both both meads, the Braggot and the secret ingredient. It's going to make it a lot of fun. It's like a dual challenge this year. You got to, if you hit the podium in both, I mean, there's going to be some extra special rewards coming your way for doing that. But yeah, if something were to happen and only one of your mead is ready, no problem. Send it in. That's fine. We'll be releasing the final date of the award ceremony and party this year. That's going to be in the summer. I want to let everybody know that. And it's going to be one that you want to travel for. It's going to be one that is worth the travel. So I think that's our big. I think that I've covered everything I wanted to on the Iron Bee 2020. Jeff, what does the best color man in the business have to add?
So yeah, this is going to be a fantastic event. I am so pumped both for the secret ingredient and for the Braggot Shootout. Like Ryan said, this is kind of a non-traditional Braggot. I think the phrase that I used in our letter to the Patreon supporters was, we want to see your best and your strangest. We want to see your dark horses and your blue ribbon show ponies. This is drinking enjoyment only, so don't worry about conforming to style. Just make it good, make it what you like, and hopefully we will like it as well. I am still waiting for the secret ingredients to arrive before I start shipping stuff out. But the moment that I get those, and I confirm that you are a key holder and registered, I'm getting a package in the mail to you. Those are going as fast as we can because the window is going to be a little bit tight. We're going to give you, I think, about 6 weeks to brew, and then the shipping window is going to run starting. I believe we said starting in May. We're going to have that shipping window open for quite a while. We're going to try to get those all judged, and then this summer, huge party. We'll have winners for you, and I am so excited, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So as the last thing I'll reiterate here, this is a key holder club competition. You must be a member of the key holder club to enter. Now, once you're a member of the key holder club, there is no entry fee. There's no entry fee at all. So keep in mind, you're getting 2 entries completely, without any additional fee. There's no fee. Like that, like a lot of competitions, let's say it's $10 to enter, per thing. So 2 entries run you $20. No, they're not going to run you like the infomercial. Not going to run you 20, not going to run you 10, just 0. Because this is a competition that we put on for our key holders. So join the key holder club at any level you want, and then you can get into this competition. If you join it at certain levels, we give you rewards. So like I said, the ingredients alone are worth about $25 that we're sending you, and then depending on the level you join, we're going to send you more. So I mean, if you join the key holder club, you could get a $40 value worth of package coming your way here to join the contest. So by the time you realize that out, I mean, you're at kind of a net zero, so to speak, of what you're giving us and what you're getting back.
And to dovetail that, remember that every key holder last year also received just a thank you for participating package in the mail too, along with your score sheets. We had some great prizes for everybody that participated, and the winners got even more. So this is a really great opportunity to get some cool stuff, have a really fun competition. That's just it's different than anything else out there. I highly encourage any of our listeners, all of our listeners, get in on this. This is awesome.
You bet.
Absolutely.
And, the other thing about the Keyholders Club, too, you can get the link. Just go to patreon.com and search for the Mead House, or, you can pretty much go to any one of the shows here on the meadhouse.com. The link is in there. I believe it's also on the front page of the Mead House, meadhouse.com as well. And again, Mountain Rose Herbs, these guys have been with us for almost 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Great outfit. And if you're into the culinary world, like my little sister, I turned her on to Mountain Rose Herbs, and I like monthly. All right. She's always ordering something from Mountain Rose Herbs for her cooking endeavors and baking and whatnot. So Mountain Rose Herbs, thank you so much. And of course, Yakima Chief Hops. We've been talking with these guys for over a year too. Great resource for some really outstanding hops. I love their hops. So good stuff, guys. Segment 2B, kind of two-pronged here. I kind of started out thinking today, I thought, braggots. I mean, yeah, we talk a lot about braggots here. This is, as Ryan said earlier, an underachieved, underused, appreciated category of mead. Okay, and so we kind of try to push that along a little bit, only to encourage folks out there to get involved in this particular category. What is a braggot? Simply put, it's a harmonious blend. I'm going to get this right, guys. It's a harmonious blend of beer and mead, basically. Okay.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean you pop open a Miller Lite and dump it into your glass of meat. I suppose you could do that. But we're talking from the get-go. So what is a beer? Well, it's made of malt and hops and whatnot. And a mead, of course, is made from honey and water. So it's the blend of honey and malt together to build a braggot that has some of the nuances of mead, but yet has also some of the nuances of a beer. Sometimes it's difficult to do. Sometimes you surprise yourself and really come up with something pretty awesome. Malt, guys. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit and maybe discuss it a little bit. I'm certainly no expert, but the utilization of malt, liquid or dry malt extract from dark to light. Is there a best? Is there a better? Is there a no-go? Probably go to Jeff on this because of his tenure at working at a local homebrew store. And go ahead.
So here's what I'd propose for this segment. I've got some strong opinions. And I'd like to lead with those strong opinions and then give it over to Jeff to correct me every time I go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should I just chime in or should I make a list?
Oh, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for this. All right. Party's on. Go.
So here's the thing. So we're talking malt extract. Specifically what JD was saying was dry malt extract versus liquid malt extract.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about all grain in the future. But for right now, he's talking about extracts, which are great, by the way, to use for braggot. I don't say always, but about 80% of the time I prefer dry, and about 20% of the time I prefer liquid. And here's why. 80% of the time I prefer dry because they have a longer shelf life.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can go to my local homebrew shop and I can buy a 50-pound bag of dry malt extract. And I've done that. I go buy a 50-pound bag and I can put it in a airtight container and it stays good for quite a while. Liquid can go stale, so to speak, a little bit on you. It and it darkens. The longer it sits, it tends to also darken. And sometimes you don't care about appearance. Sometimes you do, but it'll do that. So it it doesn't have quite the shelf life on the flavor, and also the color will darken. Now, now that's the shelf stable side. The other reason that I like dry, or use dry a lot, is I like using Pilsen malt. I love Pilsen malt on the extract side because it's about the blankest canvas you can get. So I can do a variety of meads, everything from my Pilsen braggot or Pilsner braggot all the way to my dark braggot, and they're all going to have the same base. And then what I can do in between is I can add steeping grains. I can steep caramel malts. I can steep roasted malts. I can steep smoked malts. I can steep different, specialty malts and exotic malts. And I can create the flavor profile I want on this Pilsen canvas. Why I like liquid malts is that there are some malts that I have not seen in dry form. I have never seen Maris Otter in a dry form. Yeah. Maybe it exists, but I haven't seen it. I have not seen Maris Otter in dry form. I don't think I've seen Vienna in dry form. I'm not sure if I've seen Munich in dry form. So sometimes you just want one of those specialty base malts and that's the only place to get it. Sorghum, we talked about last week. Sorghum.
Sorghum,
I've seen
Right.
sorghum, but I've never seen dry sorghum. So yeah, when I want to do my Oktoberfest braggot, I go get the Munich. If I want to do a British style, Maris Otter braggot, I go get the liquid. And so about 80% of the time I go dry Pilsen. About 20% of the time I do what I call my exotic liquids, which are the Vienna, the Munich, the sorghum, the Maris Otter, and I like that. So I don't say I like one or the other. I use them both for different purposes. But if I go liquid, I use it right away. I can buy a 50-pound bag of Pilsen dry malt extract, put it in an airtight container. I don't worry about it for a while.
Yeah.
I buy, I buy a jug of Maris Otter malt extract. I'm using that. Like, I buy it this weekend and I'm using it this weekend because I don't want that thing to stale or lose its color or something like that. So that's mine. Now, there's a whole other category that we have not talked about, and I'm not gonna. And those are what I call hopped malt extract.
Yeah, that's another show.
Cans of malt extract that are pre-hopped.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Give and Go, which is they come pre-canistered IPA, amber, stout, Oktoberfest, whatever, and literally all you do on the beer side is empty that into a pot of water, boil it, and then put it in the fermenter and pitch your yeast because it's pre-hopped.
Yeah.
Again, I don't deal with that. I'm not going to deal with that. I mean, it's just I want levers I can pull, which again is why I like the Pilsen malt. But that's one that I have a very strong opinion of not using for my braggots.
So Jeff, what do you think?
Jeff, how'd I do?
Yeah.
I think overall right on the money. Like you said, those hop malts. When you get a can of that, the understanding that you're getting when you pick up a can of the hop malts, that's a beer kit. It's made to make a specific style of beer. It's not going to be the greatest of that style you've ever tasted, but it's an ease of use kind of a thing. You can throw in a couple gallons of water, boil it up, and then add water to get to your 5 gallons, and you've got. To be honest, I've never made one of them. To be perfectly frank, but it's a basic serviceable IPA you're getting out of that. Like you said, I want to pull some levers. I want to be able to personalize it, and you certainly could. You could add more hops. You could add different flavors, but I would rather start with something basic. And like you said, for my money, Pilsen is the way to go. Pilsen or light, extra light, those are kind of in that same family. The Pilsen is going to be more of a European style 2-row Pilsner malt. Light or extra light is going to be an American 2-row base. They're very similar, but the nuances are going to be slightly different, and that's just kind of how it is. Personally, for my money, I avoid dark malt extract whenever I can because I have no idea what the dark part of that is. You can easily add steeping grains like roasted or chocolate or the Crystal 120 and things like that give very different characters, and they add the dark part of your beer if you're looking for a stout or a porter or something in that family of darker beers, and it's going to give you the personalization and the exactness you want. Versus dark is going to be whatever the maltster decided was a good dark.
Well, here's the challenge, okay? And this is all, unbeknownst to both of you, this is actually leading up to something that Ryan sent me a couple of days ago. He apparently was drinking or had tried this beer. It's a Chilean double stout. I won't mention the name. But what Ryan sends me is, maybe this came off the label, I don't know. But here's what it says. It says, smells, now, keep in mind, this is a photograph that Ryan took. It says smells like chocolate syrup, earthy, smoky, black peppercorn, and a little boozy. Has a soft mouthfeel, creamy, roasted, milk chocolate, earthy, vanilla, toasted sugars, and medium bodied. Okay. And the text, the text wording that he sent along with it was something like, here's a challenge. It's like, okay, JD, make this. So I thought, well, you know what? Okay. I mean, it's all got to start with the malt. Okay. To make a braggot out of this, okay, obviously we're going to work in some honey somewhere. Now I'm thinking, keeping along with the dark roasted malts and that kind of thing. I'm talking probably something along the lines of a medium, a honey that's cooked down honey. What's the name of that? What's the word for that? God, don't get old.
Bochet or
yeah, just
honey,
well, not. I don't want to use a melter honey, but more of a bochet. Something that I would throw in the crock pot and cook down. I mean, I don't want to take it too far. Maybe just to that marshmallowy stage. That's like 230 degrees or something like that. I don't remember. But in picking apart some of these other things, I mean, the chocolate syrup, the chocolate I can get. I mean, the chocolate syrup, I'm thinking milk chocolate here, so I'm thinking something to go along, the lactose sugars, something that would turn it into more of a creamy milk chocolate type flavor. I can get the roasted stuff, the black peppercorn, and the smoke. Okay, now this is going to lead me into the next part of this. Okay, and you recall when we were talking about what we were drinking tonight, I said I was drinking Long Branch. Okay, well, Long Branch, Matthew McConaughey and Eddie Russell, they worked on this recipe. And did something a little bit unusual with this bourbon. They're using oak charcoal and mesquite charcoal in a refining process. Okay, and that I can tell you right now, take a sip of this Long Branch, and it's going to finish. You're going to get some of that mesquite about mid palate. It's very detectable. A little bit of smoke, but I think I might be able to accomplish the smoky part even with some smoked peppercorn, because it talks about the black peppercorn in there. Well, I've got some black peppercorn that's actually smoked, and it's really good on burgers or steaks, for that matter. So the use of charcoal, guys. Have you ever heard of that being used in the mead making process? Apparently, it's used a wild turkey when they put up the Long Branch.
I mean, I know it's very common. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, in the distilling process, I know charcoal is used kind of almost as a filtering agent.
Right?
So that the vapors filter through a matrix of charcoal to just kind of smooth things out, if I'm not mistaken. And of all of the alcohol related things, the process of distilling is probably my weakest link. So I may be getting this 100% wrong, but I want to say that there are plenty of distillers that will take activated charcoal and make a kind of a filter with essentially like a long kind of a socky tube. That goes in there still, so that as that vapor condenses up through there, the nasties get trapped in charcoal,
right?
And filter out,
right. Jack Daniels makes a big thing about now it's not bourbon, but it's a whiskey that it's a charcoal filtered whiskey. Okay, but I'm not so sure that that's what Long Branch is doing here. They're talking refinement versus filtering. So. Don't know that those two terms are synonymous when it comes to making whiskey. or making bourbon even. So I'm not quite sure, and if anybody out there has any information on the refinement process using different charcoals, like I said, Long Branch, they talk about using both oak and mesquite. Now I can guarantee you there is a definite mesquite smoked flavor that comes about mid to almost late palate in this bourbon. So whereabouts, where in the process that lies, I have no idea. And how would you apply that when you're talking about just getting a bag full of, clean mesquite charcoal and putting it secondary? Or are we talking about dripping it through some mesquite, charcoal? I have no idea. But I thought it was kind of something unusual that we've never talked about before. I've never heard of before. I don't know if the process exists in, as far as mead making, if anybody's ever tried it. Out of our thousands of listeners out there, if you've heard of it or have given it a try, would love to hear from you. But I'm looking forward to doing this project that Ryan had sent along to me. Again, it smells like chocolate syrup. It's earthy, smoky, black peppercorn, and a little boozy. I can take care of that part. Has a soft mouthfeel, creamy, roasted milk chocolate, earthy. I mean, we're talking about, pretty much all the common flavors of a typical stout coming through here. We're looking at cocoa beans for sure. We're looking at, probably lactose sugar for that creamy mouthfeel. The earthy part will come from, the variety of hops that we choose. Vanilla, that's a no-brainer. And the toasted sugars is a no-brainer. That could be a dark brown sugar that's even caramelized, or even going to, a candy sugar. And I might approach our friends over at, what's the name of it?
Cascade Beer Candy.
Cascade Beer Candy. Cascade Beer Candy caramel sugars. So, in fact, I might even contact them and, see what they've got. But, so that's where we're headed. That's why I wanted to bring up.
JD, that's actually a very good idea, because some of his beer candies, are flavored, and you might be able to pick up a flavor, through that beer candy, if you didn't want to just go the straight, sugar route.
Yeah. I mean, that mesquite smoked, if you can manage that, that'd be a really easy, foolproof, and way less labor intensive than I was about to suggest route for getting that flavor. Because there are a few different ways I would think you could go about that. I mean, you could take the very labor intensive approach of, putting some honey in a pan and smoking it over some mesquite smoke, or, doing like our buddy Ash did for his Smoky Pete, and basically make a big column smoker that bubbles the smoke up through the honey and stuff like that. I think that, if I remember right, is how they did that, or some variation of that. Just adding a little bit of that smoked mesquite flavor with a beer candy would be a great approach to that, I would think.
Well, and that's why, I had to go back to Brian, and I said, well, smoky. Okay, you're talking peat smoke, or are we talking wood smoke? And he came back and says, not peat smoke. So the wood smoke, I need to take care of that with alternatives, obviously, because I live in Southern California. I can't put a smoker out here on the patio. That's like messing with the ozone here, according to California laws and crap. So that's kind of out of the question. So I need to do it alternatively. So that means charcoal, toasted woods, that kind of thing, which we can certainly do. So looking forward to this project, Ryan. I try to do a stout a year for my wife. The last one was the bourbon barrel thing that she's still pulling the handle on in the keg. Gosh, that thing's been sitting in there for almost 2 years now. Probably down to the last, maybe gallon of it left in the keg. So I need to come up with something for next winter for her for sure. So good project. All right, Facebook friends, segment 3 here. This is, of course, where we try to answer questions with no formal expertise other than what we've experienced in our own brew room. This would have been a good place for that charcoal question, too. And again, if any of our listeners out there have ever messed around with charcoal, give us a shout. info@themeadhouse.com. Email us and let us know. Facebook friends, Ryan, I'm going to start this one off for you. Has anyone ever used carrots in a recipe? Yes. Ryan Richardson.
I did. I used carrots in one mead. It was inspired off of an old wine recipe, and it said they call it something like carrot whiskey. I mean, it's not distilled; it's fermented. But the idea was you took like unmalted wheat and carrots and sugar, and you fermented it, and it gave the flavor of like a carrot whiskey. And I switched that up, and I went to honey, obviously, to make it a mead. So I used a bunch of carrots and honey and unmalted wheat, and then it was okay, but I ended up blending it into another braggot that I had made, which was really good. Like I had an orange braggot and blended it into that. And I thought it was great. Really liked it. Carrots it was fun to use. Kind of like, I imagine, like Adam Bystrom's brew list is probably several pages long, and sometimes you write something down and you're really excited to do it, but then after you do it, you're like, okay, I've done that, now I can move on. And that was kind of like carrots for me. But I think there's a lot more you could do with carrots. Now, JD, I only use the root vegetable, so the orange part of the carrot. Yeah. JD believes that using the carrot greens would give you a very interesting mead.
Yeah.
Have you done that, JD?
No, not yet. But I mean, carrot greens are consistently used in the culinary world to flavor different things, even salads. And they're very full of carrot flavor. I know that. I've chewed on them before. So, like maybe dry hopping a mead with carrot greens. What would be so wrong with that?
JD, I'm laughing because last week you said you chewed on sorghum.
Yeah, I did.
You said you chewed on carrot greens.
I have.
I can't wait to hear what you tell us you chewed on next.
Chewed on next, yeah. No, I'm not kidding.
Next week we'll be talking about a saltwater taffy mead.
I was watching some cooking show on TV, and they were using carrot greens in this salad, and I thought, wow, I've never heard of that before. Well, it turns out that carrot greens are commonly used. And when I buy my carrots in the store for making my stews or, braising short ribs, I buy the organic carrot that has the carrot greens on them. So I thought, well, after chopping off the carrot greens, I put a bunch of them in my mouth, start chewing on them, and sure enough, it tastes like carrots. Why wouldn't it? So my thinking is, why wouldn't you dry hop a mead with carrot greens, to get some of that carrot flavor? What the hell?
Yeah, or I could see boiling them in the water before you add the honey.
Yeah.
Get some of the carrot flavor that way.
Absolutely.
I would think.
Absolutely. Move on to David. That's an interesting one there, Ryan.
David says, I have a question for the hive mind. How long is the longest you have ever bulk aged a mead, and what vessel did you use? I'm wanting to age a traditional for 4 years plus, but I don't think glass is the way to go. I don't think glass is the best option I don't think glass is the best option, and short of a couple $100 stainless steel barrel, I'm not sure what to use. Is there a more cost-effective alternative? So I'll start off, I guess, on that. The longest I've ever bulk aged a mead, probably a couple years. I don't know, 2 years, something like that. And glass is exactly what I use. Glass is, yes, I would not have used anything else than glass for that. It's non-porous. It's not going to evaporate like oak. I've never seen like a stainless carboy or something like that gives you, that you wouldn't have to worry about headspace on. I mean, I'm talking for somebody who doesn't keg, right? So if you don't keg, you're gonna have to worry about the headspace and what you can do with that. JD, I know, has gone to all kegs, so he ferments with kegs, he ages in kegs, and if you're set up to do that, there's no problem. You just put it in the keg, you put a little pressure on it, and you could age it for a decade if you wanted to.
Pretty much.
I think it just matters on how you're set up. Jeff, what do you think? You got any problem with glass?
I have aged for over a year in glass before myself. I felt it's perfectly fine. It doesn't have the what do I want to say, that microdoxization effect you would get out of a plastic bucket or a wooden barrel. It's fairly inert, so as long as you've got your headspace situation taken care of, or you've got, you purge it with some CO2 beforehand, so that's not an issue. You can either use a solid stopper or just keep up with the airlock and keep liquid on that so that nothing can get in there. Glass is perfectly fine. That said, I've got a braggot that I made for my wife's birthday almost 2 years ago now, that has been sitting in a keg since then. It's about half full. I swear it keeps getting better and better. That it's constantly under a little bit of CO2 pressure. I check the pressure and amp it up before we're going to have a party that I might, want to serve that at, because it's very, it's very malt forward, but it's also very alcoholic. So it's one of those, little, 4 or 6 ounce pour get you going, which is part of the reason it's still, a little more than half a keg left. That said, I think kegs are a perfectly good option too, even if you're not necessarily set up with your own kegerator or your own serving vessel. You can easily get a keg, purge it with CO2, and just store it in their bulk. That might be a great reason to start getting into kegs, to be honest with you. I see deals on, single keg and regulator setups on like the Homebrew Finds or those homebrew deals sites all the time. So if you're looking for bulk aging, and you don't want to use glass, kegs, I would absolutely suggest kegs.
Yeah, I agree. Although I don't know, the first question that comes to mind when I read this is why 4 years? I'm not quite sure about that.
Agreed. I'm not sure on 4 years either.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're doing something in a large barrel. Now we're talking like a 53-gallon barrel, like a whiskey barrel or something that you'd want to do for a number of years. That's one thing. But I mean, you wouldn't even come close to that in even a 5-gallon barrel. So I'm not quite. I don't quite understand why you would want to age a traditional for 4 years. I mean, if you're going to oak it, you're going to do it with maybe 4 ounces, maybe 4 to 5 ounces of oak. You're going to get the best that oak is going to have to offer, in about 3 months. After that, it's kind of a moot deal, unless you re-oak it and want more out of it, or some different toast of oak to add something different to it, and extend your aging process. So I'm not quite sure, Ryan, why 4 years, but glass is probably the number one. I would opt for the keg, like I've been talking about here on the show. They don't go bad. They're stainless steel. Like Jeff says, a little bit of pressure on top. I mean, we're talking, half a pound, if that. We're not looking to carb the thing.
Minimal.
We're just looking to replace.
Enough to put some CO2 there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but my question, Ryan, would be the 4 years.
And actually, let me add one more point in defense of glass, because glass has a valid point, I think, in this long-term aging that keg or stainless steel would not, and that's you can see the brew. Because I think all of us have had a case where, for love or money, a mead just didn't clear, or you thought it was clear, but it dropped more sediment. You don't want to bulk age on a lot of sediment, because you can get some really funky off flavors from that kind of surly style aging that you may not want. That may be right up your alley. That may be something you're going for. If not, you want to be able to rack that off onto a different cake or a different carboy, or get that off the leaves and get rid of that. If you are aging on glass, you can see that sediment build up. If you're aging in a keg, you're guessing.
Yeah.
You might have to pull a little sample and see if it's like really, really silty or whatever, and go from there. With glass, you're not guessing. You can see how much of a sediment you got in there, and if it's a finite little layer, you're probably not. You don't have anything to worry about. But if you're getting like an inch of sediment off of what you thought was clear, you probably better move that. Otherwise, you're bound to get some off flavors that you're not wanting out of that aging process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing that if you go to strictly kegs, you kind of got to stay on top of that. And
right.
I would have a racking plan in mind to go along with your kegging project. If you're going to age in kegs or store your meads in kegs, I would absolutely have some sort of a racking plan or some way to get to the bottom and and see what's down there. But absolutely, Jeff, I agree totally.
So guys, maybe we got time for one more, which is just actually perfect. This is from Heather, and Heather says, "So how often should I rack my mead off any sort of lease? Does it hurt to rack every week if there's sediment, or every month, or every couple months? It bugs me to see settled sediment, but if it's better to leave it alone for a while, then I will have another glass and forget about it." Edit. I have not and don't intend on adding any clarifier. I want to allow it to clear on its own and bulk age. So I can give a little more just color to that. Heather is a brand new mead maker, and she is making very small batches. The photograph that she submitted with that were 1 gallon batches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to give a couple of principles here and then turn the mic over. The more you handle a mead, the more chances you give for contamination, oxidation, infection, you name it. So keep in mind, every single time you rack, there is that possibility. good sanitization, a good process, good procedure, you can mitigate against that. Now, but the more you do it, the more you've been making mead, more than likely, the better you are at it. The risk is probably higher the earlier you are in your career. Okay. The second thing is it depends on the strength of the mead, in my experience, as to how much the lees is going to affect it, or the sediment will affect it. Jeff was just saying, hey, if you got an inch, if you've got a tiny little dusting on the bottom of your carboy, don't worry about it. If you got an inch, worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree with that. My experience is also, if you're dealing with a hydromel, it is more likely to be impacted by some sediment, flavor wise, versus sack strength. Sack strength is probably not going to be quite as impacted by the amount of sediment from the bottom of your carboy as a hydromel. So you keep that in mind too. The other thing is I really would not rack it every week, even if it's on there for a month. Depending on, let's just say standard strength to cut the difference between sack and hydromel. But even if you did it every month, every couple months, you're gonna be fine. I think you're gonna be fine. Racking it every week, you're gonna end up with super oxidized, possibly infected, contaminated mead. So don't do it that often. But
that's also just a lot of work.
It's also a lot of work. Anyway, those are my top line thoughts. Jeff, what do you think?
I'm kind of on the same line. The lees impact will be greater in a hydromel just because there's less to contribute to a flavor. I mean, with a sack strength mead, you've probably got a lot of honey, you've probably got a lot of fruit or whatever other flavor components you've got at play there. They can hide some of that the lees character that a hydromel just doesn't have the bulk to hide behind. It is a little bit more behooved to you to move it off of a substantial amount of lees if you've got a hydromel as opposed to a sack strength. That said, I wouldn't do it more than once a month. As I alluded to before, it seems like a lot of work to rack weekly. You're exposing yourself to all kinds of infection vectors every time you move it. Not to mention oxidization, and this is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun, and I don't find racking fun. I don't find bottling fun. I just want to drink mead. So anything I can do to reduce that.
Yeah.
I should clarify. Sometimes I equate hydromel with dry and sack strength with sweet. You could probably have a sweet hydromel that might be less impacted than a dry hydromel, and you could possibly have a dry sack strength. I'm not sure why you would, but you could probably have a dry sack strength mead that might be more impacted than a sweet, sack strength mead. So, also not just the strength, but the sweetness will also impact on that. I mean, again, if you've got a sweet, hydromel and a dry hydromel, the dry hydromel would probably be impacted first.
I would be inclined to agree. Yes, we're kind of branching into theoreticals here, but yeah, that would track to my my previous comment. Just the more flavors at play, the more things going on, the more that off flavor can kind of hide behind other stuff. I'd track to that.
I concur. And and you know what? We're going to leave it right there. Hey, thanks for listening and hanging out with us in this episode. And special thanks to medal-winning home mead maker Adam Bystrom for stopping by the house. And hey, don't forget to let us know what you're brewing. We might even give you a shout out. Email us info@themeadhouse.com or send us a message on Facebook or Twitter, both at the Meat House. Hey, we'll be off for a couple of weeks, getting back to our regular schedule. Now, hey, look, I know we missed a couple of episodes during the winter. That's my fault. I was down with the damn flu. No, not the corona one. And it wasn't the Dos Equis one either. So in the meantime, hey, happy mead making. And that's it for this episode. Ryan flipped the lights off. Jeff slammed the door shut. We'll be back next week. Actually, in a couple of weeks with episode number 150. 150 episodes, guys, when we come back in a couple of weeks. The Meat House, hey, we're gone.